The Sixers pick up a much-needed victory over the Los Angeles Clippers.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA and use the code all lowercase Locked On NBA for a first deposit match up to $100. Hello, I'm Keith Pompey, along with my right-hand man, John Mitchell. We are the co-hosts of Locked On 76ers. Happy Monday to you guys. And we just say, Mitch, the Sixers kind of surprised me. I thought they were going to go and lose to the Clippers. I thought this was going to be James Harden's revenge game. And the Sixers ended up winning 121 to 107. Tobias Harris had 24 points. Tyrese Maxey had 24. Payne had 23. 10 of the Sixers players, 10 of their 11 players who played, all scored at least 3 points. The Sixers shot the ball extremely well. They got out. They had 41 points in the first quarter. They came to play today, Mitch. They came to play.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it, Keith. I thought we would be talking about, they're trying to get a salvage game for this road trip with a trip to Sacramento. But now they're looking, to try to, go 50-50 on this West Coast road trip. And I think that's huge for them if they can do that, because again, when this road trip was in front of them, we said this is going to be a bunch of it's going to be a minefield for them to walk through. But they came out and played a complete game, man. They started hot. They made 20 of their first 28 field goals. Tobias showed up early, and Payne showed up late. It was a very good. It's an upper echelon win for this team if you were to break down, how they have performed throughout the season. It's an upper echelon win for them.
Yeah, I think the one thing that really stands out, the difference from over 48 hours to their 101-94 loss to the Lakers on Friday at the same arena, crypto.com, is you look at the three-point shooting. The 76ers shot 8 of 37 during that game in the loss to the Lakers.
Right.
Last night or yesterday afternoon, they shot 18 for 37 from three. Right. And to me, that's a big one. They shot 53.3%. And that's overall, like when you look at in the first quarter where you say like that's what the game, like, they made 7 in the first quarter, they shot 17 to 25, which is 68%. They made 7 of 9 3-pointers. And we're talking about in the first quarter, 77.8%. So they came out on guns a-blazing, so to speak. Now, the first quarter, Tobias Harris had 11 points on 5 for 7 shooting. Kelly Oubre Jr. had 10 points on 4 for 5 shooting. He was 2 for 3 on threes. Tyrese Maxey had 5 points, but he had 3 assists. So did Kelly Oubre. And Mo Bamba, he had 3 points, but he had 2 blocks and 7 rebounds in that first quarter. And I felt like that play right there set the tempo. Then Tobias came out and scored, 7 points in the second quarter to help him out. And I felt like it was going there. Now, the one thing that I will say about this game, Mitch, is I didn't really like the third quarter from the Sixers standpoint, right? I felt like, towards the end of the first quarter, um, the or the end of the first half, the Clippers went on a 10-0 run, and then they scored the first 6 points of the second half. Tobias
Mm-hmm.
Harris was rolling in the first half, but he only got one shot in the third quarter. And to me, it was looked like, I get it. Maxey was trying to take over, but I felt like the flow of the game disappeared a little bit in that third. And then they brought it back a little bit. But in that third quarter, you look at it, they shot 43.5%, 10 for 23, 3 for 10 on three-pointers. But Maxey had eight, Buddy Hield had six, Mo Bamba had two, Tobias didn't score, and Kelly Oubre had two. But to me, like, they brought it back in the fourth quarter. I think they went on an 18-2 run to put the game away.
Yeah.
But believe me, bro, like, I felt like there was a point in that third quarter where you're looking at it, and like we talked off camera, where you say, "Oh, they're about to let this thing slip away. This is about to
Yeah.
be the Sixers that I'm used to seeing."
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's. I mean, that's because we've gotten so we've seen them lose leads to teams that aren't even the Clippers league. Now, granted, the Clippers did come into that game struggling. So, something's going on in La, and uh, I don't know if it's James Harden's presence starting to really, the demon of James Harden is really starting to take root. I don't know what it is, but they're not playing as well as they were. Um, as recently as 2 weeks ago. But you did get that feeling that this was going to be sort of like, maybe a Memphis game or a Brooklyn game where it's like, okay. And I mean, they raced out to a 17-point lead in the first quarter, if I'm not mistaken, 41 points. And I felt that was fool's gold because for the better part of the season, it has been fool's gold. But they did play. They did play. They went back to the arena. The crypto.com arena, and they showed up. The Lakers win because that was a win. The Lakers win was a winnable game. They just shot the ball a little bit better. They shot the ball respectively. They could have possibly won that game. And they were prepared. They were energetic. Campaign made like 5 3-pointers. I mean, everybody made their contribution. And what you said about Mo Bamba, Mo Bamba was getting shots early and often at the rim. Blocking shots early and often at the rim. And when he can do those kind of things, when he can give a team that energy, that's an added benefit. And he, on a night when other guys are making contributions offensively, you don't have to worry about him taking too many shots. And it was really good to see. It was really good to see Tobias get out and establish himself earlier. And too often this season we have gotten to halftime where it's like recently too. Where's Tobias? Where's Waldo? But Tobias, showed up and he showed up and showed out for him.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. He did. He showed up and he showed out. He showed up and he showed out. The thing is, I think the bench overall, the play of the bench was well. It got to a point where, here we go. We got, you got Payne, and we'll talk more about him in the second segment. But he had 23 points. You had
Your boy Paul Reed showed up. Yeah, Paul
yeah.
Reed showed up. 10 points, 8 rebounds, and a whole lot of energy. And that's the way it's supposed to be. I mean, they've had this thing this year with the Sixers where, and we've talked about it ad nauseum, where guys have had to play up. And they don't have to play up as much when, say, a Tobias comes out and does what he's supposed to do, like he did tonight. He comes out and he gets it on early in the game, and he's looking spry and ready to go. It makes a big difference for the 76ers, man. And it's again, when I saw this road trip, I was like, this is an offer. The Philly fans are mostly 4 for 4 with the teams they root for. I figured that this was, no wins on this trip. No wins coming on this one. So, but yeah, here we are, and the 76ers are doing their thing. So it was a good win for them. So right now, let's talk about Robinhood. Did you know that even if you have a 401k for retirement, you can still have an IRA? Robinhood has the only IRA that gives you a 3% boost on every dollar you contribute when you subscribe to Robinhood Gold. But get this, now through April 30th, Robinhood is even boosting every single dollar you transfer in from other retirement accounts with a 3% match. That's right, no cap on the 3% match. Robinhood Gold gets you the most for your retirement thanks to their IRA with a 3% match. This offer is good through April 30th. Get started at robinhood.com/boot. Subscription fees apply. And now for some legal information. Claim as of Q1 2024, validated by Radius Global Market Research. Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. That's ebaymotors.com.
You know the thing, uh, the thing is like as they played well, and they did a lot of other things right. But the thing that really stood out to me, and I'm gonna be honest with you, was the play of campaign,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, Tobias stood out was great, but I'm gonna tell you this about campaign, Mitch. When they first acquired campaign, I'm like, for what? Like, you
Yeah.
got you got rid of Patrick Beverly. The worst kept secret was them getting Kyle Lowry in the buyout market. We all knew that was
Mm-hmm.
going to happen.
Right.
So you traded Patrick Beverly for essentially a third string point guard and a second round pick. Okay, I get it,
Yeah.
but you gave him to one of the teams. Then all of a sudden, this guy comes off the bench and he's always producing. And
Always. Yeah.
he had a season high 23 points. This was the seventh time of his career, and he played in 394 games that he scored 23 or more points.
Mm.
Right? This was the eighth time in his 16 games coming off the bench as a Sixer that he scored in double figures.
Mm-hmm.
This dude is a bucket coming off the bench for the Sixers right now. And this
Yeah.
is something that they need. So he has been the only player who has more points, double figure games coming off the bench is Kelly Oubre,
Right.
who's been starting lately, right? So when you look at that, this dude has been basically their most consistent bench player as of late because Kelly's not coming off the bench. That's
Right.
a big pickup, man. He's been balling. He's been a big pickup.
No, he has, man. He's been playing very well for them. Um, he shoots it well, and they needed him to step up today because this is the first Kyle Lowry was out for rest, So you needed campaign to come in, and you needed him to be productive against that Clippers backcourt, and he was. And when he gets into that stretch where he's hitting threes, he's a hard man to deal with. He's a hard man to deal with. And granted, he only had 7 points against the Lakers, and he struggled. But prior to that, he had 12 in the loss to Phoenix, and 2 games that he had the 10 against Charlotte. But he's always been shooting very well in the 3-point range. He understands his role, and I have to credit Nick Nurse for this. Guys, and you can see it, man, when you watch the 76ers play. The guys understand their roles. Even though they're not, they've been in. Well, we can't even call it free fall anymore because they won like 3 of the last 5 games now, or somewhere about there. So we can't really say they've been in free fall anymore. They've semi-stopped the bleeding, they quasi-stopped the bleeding. But campaign is, today he did his Andrew Toney impersonation, man. He was out there hitting jumpers, and he fully capitalized on Kyle Lowry's absence, and I thought that might have been an issue. So Kyle Lowry was able to get his rest. The 76ers were able to get a win. And campaign, continue to show Nick Nurse that, I can, you need me off the bench, keep me in this rotation, keep going to me.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. It was he did show that, and he did step up. But the thing is that 3-point shooting. I mean, the funny thing is, not funny, but he had 5 threes. A couple games ago, he was bombing threes, and it was against Miami. Charlotte, even against the Lakers, he hit a couple threes. The thing is, though, it's one of those things where, I like his style, and the crazy part is when he first came here, it was a shock to him because they were like, "Hey, look, we need you to get buckets." And he's like, "Huh? Part of the offense?" Like typically, he comes in, he's a change of pace, but it's more to distribute the rock, get other teammates involved, and they gave him the green light.
Yeah,
for him to get up the floor, and the thing about it is, him and Maxey, they look pretty good together when they're out there together. Just because they're both quick and they can get it, get buckets. Now, again, I'm not saying that this team is ready to contend or do anything like that, but I think this was a good victory for them from a standpoint. It was, they all stepped up. You look at it. Tobias had 24. Like I said, Reed had 8 rebounds. Maxey had 6 assists. But yeah, tomorrow we got to see what they can do. Now, here's one thing I'm going to talk about this, John. Now, I wrote something today, and some people took exception to it. Actually, I wrote it yesterday in yesterday's paper. Whereas I feel like the 76ers, they still miss James Harden's presence. Now, maybe this was the wrong day to write it because they didn't. But at the same time, these are the type of things that they did that they normally don't. Like, Tobias Harris stepped up. Campaign stepped up. They got contributions from a lot of players. Yeah. And they got to continue to do stuff like that because they haven't been able to do it, right? So while this was a great step in the right direction, we need to see more consistency because in the past, Tyrese had to try to do it all by himself.
Right.
And he didn't this time. Like, you know what I mean? Those 24 points by Tobias and those 23 points by Campaign were huge because it took the pressure off of Maxey. So they got to continue to play that way.
Yeah, and just touching on Harden briefly. I mean, he had one of those James Harden games for them. 14 assists. But and I was kind of disappointed that he didn't stick around and talk to the media post game. I thought that was kind of low budget on James Harden's part. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Right now, as you know, Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. Locked On Sports Today Baseball fans, mark your calendars for March 20th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time for the best MLB season preview coming exclusively to Locked On Sports Today. On March 20th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, be the first to get local insight from the MLB local experts of the Locked On Podcast Network. Find it on March 20th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Locked On Sports Today 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. PrizePicks is What is PrizePicks? PrizePicks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with over 3 million members. We are the easiest and most exciting way to play DFS. It's just you against the numbers. You pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. It's Demons time on PrizePicks. You can now win up to 100 times your money with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000. Demons and Goblins are the newest and most exciting way to play at PrizePicks. Squares marked with red demons or green goblins get you different payouts. You can now win up to 100 times your money with as little as 4 correct picks. So go to prizepicks.com, Locked On NBA, and use code Locked On NBA for a first deposit match up to $100. That's prizepicks.com, Locked On NBA, and use code Locked On NBA for a first deposit match up to $100. You know what, folks? Do it today. Absolutely do it today.
So, Mitch, now here's the deal. You saying do it today. Now, what are the Sixers going to do today? Are they going to follow up this quality win that they had against the Clippers with a victory over the Sacramento Kings now back to back? But look, bro, the game was over at around 3-something West Coast time, Pacific time, right?
Mm-hmm.
They had a quick flight to Sacramento. You just get up and back down to Sacramento, right? They have no excuse for not getting the proper rest, doing whatever they can, and play tomorrow night. So now they're going up against the Kings, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now the Sacramento Kings, right now they're 41-29, right? They came off of a victory, close victory at Orlando a couple days ago, 109-107. Now they got Sabonis in this 8th season, an all-star, right? Multi-all-star. And then they have De'Aaron Fox in this 7th season. Now, the last game, De'Aaron Fox had 31 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, and 3 steals in 36 minutes. Sabonis had 21 points, 14 rebounds, 8 assists, and 1 steal in 40 minutes. Now, they also got the young boy in his second year, Keegan Murray, a 6'8" forward, 215 pounds. He had 22 points the last game. Now, Harrison Barnes, brother, been in the league for a minute, 12 years, seemed longer than 12 years, though. But he had 9 points. Now, he's averaging 12.3. And when we look at it, De'Aaron Fox is averaging 26.7, right? Sabonis is averaging 20 points and 13.7 rebounds, 8.3 assists. This is going to be a big test for the 76ers.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the Kings and they're the 7th seed, and I mean, they're right there. They've been mirroring Phoenix right through here. They're 41-29. Both teams going into Sunday evening with 41-29. And Sacramento puts up points. This is a must win for them. Just as the Clippers needed to get this win, but I think Sacramento desperately, They're 7-3 over the last 10 games. They desperately would like to get out of that 7th seed and climb out of the play-in. So they're gonna come at the 76ers. They're not gonna hold back. And the Sixers are coming on, like you said. You go to Sacramento, it's get in the bed. Get that rest, because there's absolutely nothing for them to do out there except to
I'm
show up
thinking the same.
and end this and end this trip on a positive note. Now, what do I think they're going to do? I mean, I still think in Sacramento is the better team. I get the sense that the 76ers might be there and might be feeling themselves. Um, and they have no reason to do that. They need to say, hey, you know what? This is let's get off this West Coast road trip without Joel Embiid at 500. Let's get another good game from you, Tobias Harris. Let's get an aggressive game out of you. Let's rebound well. Let's get our energy players. Let's get Paul Reed playing well. Let's get Mo Bamba blocking shots and play some defense. Because this team likes to get up and down the court. So I wouldn't be surprised if the 76ers came off of this road trip and with a 1-3 record. But I would love to see them, and it's possible. I mean, granted, Sacramento has won 3 of its last 4, but it did go, and they were road games, and they did lose. Ironically, they lost, at Washington, one of those traveling Keystone Cops organizations of the NBA field. So, I don't think that Sacramento will be looking past them. They should be a little bit rested from their road trip. So we'll see.
Yeah, I can't see how they lost to the Wizards. That sounds crazy. I mean, like I looked at that too, and I was like, "Yo, what happened?" Like,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? It was like, and they lost like 109. They lost by 7 points, and that came after. The
Yeah,
crazy part it was a second game of a back to back. The first night they were in Toronto. Maybe they got caught in customs or something. I don't know, but they won by 34,
yeah,
and then came back and lost by 7, right? And then they beat Memphis by 10.
yeah,
So, they won 3 of their last 4 games, but yeah, that's not a good one at all. Now, the one thing that the Sixers got to be careful of or keep an eye on. Now, they're going to be well rested because Kyle Lowry is going to play. He's back. And then you look at Nico Batum. He didn't play either yesterday. So I'm assuming that Nico, when he comes in, if he doesn't start, he's going to guard De'Aaron Fox with the length, right? But
mm-hmm.
De'Aaron Fox is funny. He used to give the 76ers the business. The guy who used to shut them down, though, was Matisse Thybulle. Now, they don't have Matisse. So
Right.
we need to see what's going to happen because he's going to get up his shots. Like he shot 22 times last game, 12 threes. So I expect him to do much of the same. Try to, shoot a high volume of 3-pointers, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then the thing about it is one thing is the last time they played the Sixers, people forget the Sixers did beat them without Joel Embiid.
Well,
And
yeah,
yeah, without Joel. And it wasn't really close. They lost by 19. Sixers beat them by 19. So my thing is, are they going to be motivated? Whatever. What's Sabonis going to do? What is Mo Bamba going to do? Like,
yeah,
Mo Bamba was being a really good role player the last game. What is he going to do? What is Paul Reed going to do? So those are the question marks heading into tomorrow's game. So, I mean, tonight's game. So we'll see. We'll see,
yeah,
definitely.
yeah. Well, they just got to carry. They have to carry the momentum they built off of the Lakers game. I know that's somewhat of a cliche to take your momentum and carry it to the next day, but I mean, this is such a crucial game for them. With the talk that Joel Embiid may come back. You know, um, in early April. So there's nothing better for an NBA franchise than to win the games you're expected to lose, and they had a perfect example of that yesterday by going to cryptoarena.com and beating Kawhi Leonard, James Harden, and Paul George. So
Mm-hmm.
it would be nice to see. when you're reaching for straws, trying to grab momentum, and you've been leaking oil. Again, to come off of this road trip 50-50 would be lovely for the 76ers. I'm glad they got to do it all over again when they get home against these same Clippers. But that's a commentary for another day.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is. Look, y'all, I just want to let y'all know we want to thank y'all for listening, right? Um, we want you guys to know that thank you for listening to this podcast every day. Let you know that this podcast is free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube. But before that, I want you to know that Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now is also available on Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV channel app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On Plus, our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today, now available on the free Fire TV channels app. So listen, we want to thank y'all. We're going to talk to y'all tomorrow after the 76ers game against the Sacramento Kings to see if they can continue what they're doing. But hey, thanks for listening and have a great day from Keith and John. Peace.